With us, we have Madam Alpana Shroff,
Sure.
and I welcome her for today's webinar. And very interesting point of her coming here is also that recently she has published a book on learning French, and she has presented variety of new I say techniques in that, and experience, how to teach people, especially the younger generation, because younger generation have variety of diversions, and they lack at times concentration in their studies. So she has observed all these points and devised certain formula which she shares in her book. And this book has a variety of options that we will talk about in due course of our conversation. And I would like to welcome Alpana ji. She is interestingly also a lawyer, apart from being beautiful lady, apart from being teacher, social worker, writer. She's a lawyer as well, and her perspective from being lawyer point of view and being a teacher in French, there are a variety of diversity available with her. So I welcome Alpana ji on our expert series talk at Modlingua forum, and let's see how it goes. So Alpana ji, now I would like to first ask one question to you. Please explain yourself, who you are.
Thank you, Ravi sir. I'm Alpana Shroff, advocate and title queen winner, Mrs. Elegance, India World 2021 Women of Substance Award winner for the educational work given in the society. And I'm recently an author of a book in French, because I have studied French and taught a lot of students French, especially up to the 12th standard. And so that this is my creative side, as well as because I have been encouraged in education by my parents. So I have become an advocate also. I taught in colleges also for law. And so I was a professor of law, and then for my creative side never ends. So I believe in developing creative and cognitive skills. So while it is only self-developed, not anything professional in arts and crafts, I'm a freelancer. I've taught children of all ages from 5 to adults. And these are the diverse activities which I do. French was also my curiosity, as a passion, as a creative side, as a language. It intrigued me a lot. It's a beautiful language. French is a beautiful language, an expression of the emotion of love between Indo-European civilizations.
So expression of love.
It is, a very sweet and a beautiful language which is spoken from the tip of the tongue. Like there are some languages, like supposing I say in French, comme ça va, at the tip of the tongue. And in Marathi, we would say, Mumbai, tu माझे संग गोड बोल. It sounds as if it's coming from the throat. And so French is at the tip of the tongue. It's a beautiful feathery tip language.
So that's what. So when you say, this is a very interesting word. So how the sound between Marathi, since you have talked about Marathi, how difficult or easy it is with French, or how you compare both these languages?
Right. So, we are born with Hindi, Marathi, local languages, and French is not a difficult language. It is very sweet and the same alphabets as English. But there are a lot more in grammar, a lot more in pronunciation. Pronunciation is very different, and many words are the same words as English, but the meaning is different. So there is a lot of learning in French. It's not, it's an endless, you can say it's a sea of knowledge, as we all know, all the French viewers here also know, and all the other people also are interested in French. So just because there is so many things like masculine and feminine, which we don't consciously know that we are speaking in Hindi or Marathi. Like if a book also is say, मैंने किताब रखी, or we say in Marathi, हे किताब ठेवली. ठेवली, it is like we are doing feminine for the book. And so in French, you have to learn whether the book is masculine or feminine. So because we're not born with that language. Otherwise, it's not a difficult language. And
Okay,
those
so I will come to you on a question, Madam. And
yeah,
that is, for example, as per my understanding goes, nowadays, currently in the whole world, including,
yeah,
points like Alliance Française, right?
yeah,
Including
right,
points like Max Muller or Instituto Cervantes, all these cultural centers who promote
yeah,
languages of their respective countries, they
right,
have devised a technique called communication technique, communicative technique, in which everything, when you enter in the classroom, you are totally in the environment of France. Means everything is talked in French from the beginning of the classroom, the moment you start ABTC, French language, world, right?
yeah, right,
So, whereas we Indians, are more tuned towards learning grammar rules first, and then,
yes.
cramming certain patterns, and then slowly develop our skills. So, how you see these two differences? How you handle that?
Exactly. So in academically, the portion which is stressed upon is not more upon speaking, the vocabulary, the pronunciation, basic, and then the grammar. So the basic pronunciation will be the local language of the French people are different. So the classes which they feel that they attend in Alliance Française, so children feel that we will study in college French directly because we will attend our outside classes and make up with that.
Can you explain a little bit more? Because it seems, student will need to understand more, your approach that you take up in your
Yes.
book, and the approach generally which is being now promoted for various regions in Alliance Française and other corners of the world.
Exactly. So my book is like the one USB for all. It is for academics, children for 10th and above. It is the unseen portion, which like when I was teaching to so many children, I give them bespoke passages related. All this is to the culture, civilization of France, as you say. When we get to know more about France, when we embark upon a language, we need to know, get curious about the country's civilization, people, then everything what they do. So in this book, we have for that essays. There are 59 essays. There are dialogues for those who know a bit of French, but their curiosity is never ending. And therefore, they can plunge into the talking conversation part, because otherwise, when you learn more and more French in these outside classes, for example, but to take the plunge into speaking is not very easy. It takes a lot of time because you don't gain confidence, and there's some word which you will pronounce wrong. So in this book, there are dialogues for day-to-day use. Like if you're in a metro station, if you are visualizing that you will go to the country, then where will you buy stamps? In a tobacco shop. Oh, that is something which is very interesting for the people who want to visit that country. So there is so many descriptive things in this book for them. And then letter writing. So the difference being here that all the things are presented in under one, like one USB for all, like that. So
Okay,
they
so
can
I
speak.
recall when I was learning Spanish, uh, I was little uh, apprehensive towards this approach, communicative approach. for the fact that, you know, communicative approach, one learns faster.
Yes.
And you start talking in French or Spanish or German or any other language, including Indian languages. If I wanted to, I am a Hindi speaker. If I wanted to learn, let's say, Tamil, I will first focus more on grammar rules and then try to play with, you know, whereas
Yes.
in communicative approach, I start from Tamil from you know, from the beginning. But one learns quickly, certainly, because I recall it was when I was trying to understand, you know, the history of teaching methodology in foreign languages. Uh, this was experimented during World War, and Americans were taught quickly the German language by putting them into German environment, right? So what happened? They learned quickly, and when they came back, they forgot it because they didn't use it, you know, on a regular basis. So it is easy to learn, quickly learns and quickly forgets. So if children, you know, are taught this way, they will quickly learn as long as they are in the classroom. But the moment they are out and the
So for
practice,
that,
there is no
yeah,
practice, then
yeah.
they start forgetting. So
And
how
for
to
that,
retain that? Do you have
yeah,
any thought on that?
yeah. Like for example, like everybody who has taught in colleges and larger groups, they know that the connectivity is not there, because the next day the children, they come only for the language, they make fun of some few words and then they don't do the homework. So your online as well as offline of homework should be offered even in private classes, as well as solving the exercises. Now, which exercises, everything which you can get hold of. For grammar, the exercises portion for the grammar, especially what are the particular standard children, their past papers, whichever school it is, their past papers, and once they do that, they're given the marks there and then, so they know where they stand, and the next day again they're given marks so they can come up. So all my students till now, when they have entered in the beginning of the year, middle of the year, or they come as a crash course, because in the throughout the year they've not understood French and they are very scared about their marks now. So the main thing is solving the exercises grammatically, and then that makes you remember the rules of the grammar from inside. It becomes a subconscious of the mind, like how when we do physical exercise and after a long time the body remembers the exercise, like that when you do practical exercise, the mind remembers the grammatical rule. It will stop you there only. And for the verbs and all the other portions which we have to learn, we have to say them, like while brushing teeth also we must say that. Just those things which we have to memorize, we have to memorize them. Like it is like this, how in Hindi movies, how they sing that song, na 3 times they sing the line, same sentence, kyuki tum hi ho, kyuki tum hi ho, kyuki tum hi ho. The whole world and all language people can sing that song, kyuki tum hi ho. So we have to 3 times each things which we have to remember then, and then we have to solve our exercises. But that is the way we can just make leaps and bounds of advancement, confidence, progress, and now we'll increase our marks as academically also. That's the best way. Yeah.
Yeah, so that means you are telling that
Yeah.
in Indian context, especially,
Yes.
uh, the grammar is equally important. It's not only communicative approach that matters, but we have to
Exactly.
parallelly build up grammar rules, regulations, conjugations. No, this is what you are
On
saying,
a day-to-day
Madam?
basis. Yeah. Yeah. On a day-to-day basis, that should be built up. But when the children come for learning French, for example, academically also, they cannot be given taught every word and line of the text in that approach as they would of course do it in their school once and come home. We have to act as a coach so that they wake up and they start doing it with their own interest. So they start not mugging up everything all the time, but they start solving the exercises, and daily with what is the update, that today you did an exercise on verbs and tomorrow you did on prepositions, and then they go, then it becomes fun for them that they receive the marks there and then. That way
Okay,
they have to,
so you
see,
are
at the same, yeah, yeah, yeah,
so
at
you
the
are
same time.
you so you are trying to explain that when we teach children, we give them
Yes.
a communicative approach, repetitive drills for practice, number one. And
Yeah.
we also parallelly teach them grammar rules. But while
Hmm.
teaching, do you
Hmm.
use any other language than French, or you do the mix of it, or you also bring Marathi, to teach them? What you do?
Definitely not only English and French, because English, the alphabets are same, but we can show them the difference in pronunciation, and the meaning also of the words are different sometimes. Like,
So that means, English learning that we have already learned, when
yeah,
children speak well. So if they have learned that language, uh,
yeah,
it comes handy with them, and there is no point, behaving as if you don't know, other language, and only we
huh,
know
because
trying to learn French. Yes, I mean, people say,
yeah,
learn like mother tongue. I mean, grown up children, who
hmm,
has some language skills already, for, let's say, for French, for
huh,
English or Marathi or Hindi. How come you start thinking that he will only learn as if, one learns through mother, because he already has developed that capability of language skill, no? So whatever
yeah,
process that he could have gone through in learning that particular language, let's say Hindi or
it will
English,
help. Yeah,
uh, perhaps if we should make advantage of that learning process, and forget about purely about communicative approach, and
yeah,
help them with some new techniques which already they have, and plus some add-ons. So I mean, I am
yeah.
quite
And that I would like to
comfortable
interrupt and
with this kind of approach, because as a
yeah,
language teacher, when I was teaching at Indian Institute of Foreign Trade, as well as in other institutions,
yes,
uh, the problems that I face while trying to learn this communicative approach, which I learned it in Spain when I went there, because everything was just taught in Spanish. And uh, I, in fact, started teaching the basics, especially the alphabets in Hindi to everybody. And रट्टा करने का जिसे बोलते हैं, people
hmm,
were singing songs in Hindi
ah,
while trying to learn alphabets, and they
huh,
used to enjoy it, I mean, because it
huh,
was totally different approach. And grown up people of 35 years, 40 years age, uh, you know uh, for them, remembering things, cramming things becomes difficult. So
exactly.
they used to write, as per their alphabets. For example, if in my classroom there are people uh, whose mother tongue is, let's say Bengali,
Okay.
so I used to tell them, or I still tell them, that I will pronounce it in Hindi, because Hindi is my mother tongue. But while learning, while taking note, especially for understanding the sound of alphabet, you write that thing in your mother tongue and relate it with it, and then practice it, because at the end of the day, sound is the same for every, either you are uh, trying to learn it through Hindi or English or German or whatever, the
Huh,
sound of the alphabet will be the same. So you have to devise a way out to learn that particular sound, and then get into the basics of rules, regulations of grammar, and also, parallelly keep relating it with your mother tongue or the language that you have learned. So that's why, the retention capacity of language learning increases. So
I
this is
agree.
what
I
I
agree.
have been promoting.
Yes,
So
I
would you
agree.
like
Yes.
to comment on that? What are the advantages of this approach or disadvantage?
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
So while learning in school, na, especially even when I was learning in school, they used to do that. They used to give a little bit in Hindi, and but there are those agrava and all those sedila which we have to make sure that what sound that makes. So also the grammar that in English, when we learn grammar, subject and then the verb and then the object. So in French, when you're giving an order, so you change that order. So instead of saying Jack drinks milk, so then so you drink milk. So drink milk, like the order changes in French. So this is a different grammatical order in French. So if you know your English, then you can know that there's a difference in imperative speech in French. So more of English, I would say. For the pronunciation, for the sound, yes, I agree that there can be utilize of other languages, whichever they're comfortable with.
Oh, so that's great. So now, Alpana, I will ask you, I mean, before we switch over again to language learning, because I see lots of our friends who are there on channel, watching us. I see Manoj, Nirala, good to hear. He's a good expert in language. Roop Krishna Bhatji, Rahul Sharma. I see Navneet Singh. Mr. Bhatt has French is a sweet language, he's saying. And then Rima Shah, she says, like in Hindi, we have so many mantras, feminine, masculine, same in French too. Yes, that is what it is. I mean, even in Sanskrit, we have, links like striling and pulling and neuter gender, no? But in French, there is no neuter. Either male or female. Similarly, Sangeeta is saying learning French easier than learning Spanish. I mean, Sangeeta ji, aapke liye I must tell you, I would like to comment on this. It's very important question. Now I tell you, there are 4 languages which is very popular in Europe, and the first one is Spanish, second one is French, third one is Italian, fourth one is Portuguese. These all 4 languages have their origin in Latin, Roman world. That's why it's called a Romance language, right? So I mean, Romance language doesn't mean you do romance and all, but it has its origin in Romance, so it is Romance language, right? And there, if you learn one language well, let's say, for example, Spanish, it becomes very easy to learn Portuguese. And I was fortunate that while learning Spanish, I learned Portuguese. Later on, I learned even French when I went to Canada for my higher studies. In Quebec area, I was there, I learned French. But now, after having learned that, I also tried a little bit of Italian. So 4 languages, with help of dictionary. At times I do translations in all these 4 languages, these 4 languages to English, as well as with difficulty in Hindi, because Hindi typing is little slow of mine. Otherwise, I play with this. But now I tell you, from my perspective, as a language learner for last 25-30 years, Spanish is more easier for me for 2 reasons. One is, it's just like Hindi, the way we speak in Hindi, we write everything that we speak. Means phonetically, it is very clear. It has 46, Hindi has 46 alphabets. So sounds are written well. Spanish does not have 46, but it has 28, 29 alphabets. But the structure is such that if you learn the sound of alphabets correctly, you will be able to write Spanish well and read as well. So there is less possibility of, making mistakes. The way we find it easy to write in Hindi, if we know the sound, shabd jisko hum log bolte hain correctly, vowels and consonants, as well as the repetitive, o, I, e, koka, kiki, those kind of things. If we know how, if our basic foundation is clear in Hindi, it's easy to write correctly in Hindi and speak as well. Same thing happens in Spanish. But if you switch over a little bit, do towards little below, Spain, or बगल में जिसको हम बोलते हैं left side, Portugal, there you have nasal sound, नाक से बोलने लगते हैं. And because of that, some sounds are very difficult to write. And at times they mix also. 2-3 words become one. So there, the problem comes. Similarly, you switch to little bit upper side towards Alps, France.
Les Alps.
There, they start losing sounds. Last part is silent. France. I have said France. They perhaps they will not say France. Similarly, Italian. Italian is little more better than French, but comparatively, I find. I mean, when I say I am not representing the whole world. I, as a person whose mother tongue is Hindi and village language is Bajika, will find it Spanish to be easier than among all. And I had a very big difficulty in speaking French, because every time when I used to, even today, when I speak French, my Spanish comes in between. So if somebody is speaking French, I understand well, 80-90% I comprehend, but my speaking is hardly 30% or 40%. Similarly, Portuguese में भी Spanish आ जाता है, but Portuguese में मेरा 70% डिलीवरी होगा बोलने में. Italian में तो almost nil है, थोड़ा बहुत. जब if I went to Milan and then I travel around little bit, I was able to convince them, but it was with little difficulty. So this is what is Sangeeta ji. I hope I am clear. If we will have more on this, if you want, in one of our webinars to compare, the language, which languages are better for Indians. It also depends, on your interest. For example, if somebody is more tuned to France or has visited twice or thrice and got into culture quickly and started learning French early, before then perhaps than Spanish or Portuguese or Italian, he or she will find it French to be more easier. So perhaps when I started Spanish early, so I will say French is a little difficult. But all these 4 languages are very, very good to learn and adapt and, make use of in day-to-day life for a variety of reasons, career, intellectualism, travels,
Yes.
Culture,
So for
research.
jobs abroad, for jobs abroad, and for the immigration process to become easier if they are applying in a European side, and as well as the language itself has a very great career. And as a teacher, if you want to build the relationships between the organizations, UNESCO or UN, everywhere French is there. Sorry
Yes,
to
and
interrupt.
in fact, international languages, French and Spanish are both, UN language, spoken in variety of worlds. Spanish is taught in 25 countries. Similarly, France, whole Africa, speaks almost French, official languages. So, I mean, in my opinion, the world is big enough, even for Spanish, for French, or for Portuguese, or for Italian, or even other languages like German, Polish nowadays. And it also depends on the policies of respective government, how much they are pushing their language, promoting them, sponsoring them as a commissioner. Variety of books are patronized to translate. So all these things, including cinema, they all matter a lot. Nowadays, I have a friend in Panama, my classmate from Jawaharlal University, who is based there now. He is promoting Indian movies in Spanish in Panama, and he is a director, and he's doing quite well, and he's very popular nowadays there in that His name is Kundan Kanan. So, you know, and similarly, I have another friend, my own classmate, who is currently in London. There is another classmate who is based in Spain. There is another who is based in US. I mean, we were 7, 8 people in our classroom. Everybody is settled abroad and they are doing extremely well because of the language they learned, you know. So my friends, I believe it is a shortcut for entering into a better culturally advanced, or I will say economically aligned, society where you can make a good career as a teacher, translator, professor, researcher, intercultural communicator, integrator, IT people, law. You know, recently I have also completed my law. So in legal field also, there is lots of chance of doing content translation and presenting yourself as a lawyer in different courts across the globe. Especially during, arbitration, you need a communicator, especially during extradition of some criminals. Lots of people run away and they take refugees in some other corner of the world. And if you know the language of that particular region, you can talk to the government and it becomes easy to, break ice and get things done quicker. So this is what is, my friends, about languages. So before I, switch over again to Alpana ji, I have some question for you. Yes. Let me see if there is any new questions that has come up on our channel forum, and then I will answer them, and then we switch over to you. Yes. So I have Amrita, she's saying, check out TV5 Monday. She is responding to Harneet Kaur's question where she asks, can you please suggest some online links for teaching French? So there, friends are communicating among each other. You can also
TV5 on the television.
TV5, yes, yeah, that's good. Yeah. Similarly, Manjari is saying, in my opinion, the first foreign language that we learn seems more easy than second and third one. I totally agree with you, Manjari. Then Manik has said about a book called One Acte, One Jour, Same, or then Pari, difficult for us to produce, right, Manji? You, my friends, we will switch over now again to Alpana ji because she has given some introduction about teaching methodology and what she has done in the book. I want to also understand a little more about some key chapters that she has presented in her book, and what is the purpose, how you feel that it is going to help a school student especially, or does it help any other person, and what is the cost of the book? Perhaps our friends who are online would like to recommend it to their students, so that book again, so that if people understand what you are talking. It is available on Amazon.
Yes, it's available on Amazon, and also throughout Mumbai also I can deliver it.
Right. So what is the, can you show a little bit, because it was reflecting? Yeah.
It was reflecting, yeah.
Yeah. So is it Parler le français?
Parler le français avec de l'élégance.
For all boards of 10th. Right. Okay. So
all boards of 10th and higher. Yeah.
And that's great. And I learned that you have become Mrs. Elegance World in 2021. And, at one side, I think you are yourself being elegant, and another side, you are presenting elegant book. What is it?
Yeah. Yes. That title got stuck to me, and I like French I was doing from before only. So the book was written and all, then I titled it with my elegance.
Right. So you are Miss Elegance 2021, Mrs. Elegance, and that's world. That's a great honor to you. Congratulations for that. And another congratulations for producing such a wonderful book you are talking about. And can you please explain a little bit more about that book? Important chapters. Just give the name of the chapters and explain one line.
So there are essays. There are 59 essays And there are festivals and culture and descriptions of the places, like the towns, like in comparison with same things in Mumbai, like wedding and all through what the children are learning academically. It's all in consolidated form. So when they were learning French with me, the students, when they are learning, then they always have different levels of capacity, and I give them bespoke passages for it, that you will see this, according to that you will memorize something, you will understand something, and then you'll able to reproduce something. But when you are doing it from this book now, so it's a one USB for all, because otherwise they have to research the computer and browse over books, and when they are handling 6 subjects, and they cannot think which topics will be researched. There are 1,000 topics to research for the unseen portion of French. So this is for the unseen portion of French. And there is all the description of the culture, festivals, especially the people, how they talk on table manners, the cuisine, everything of their culture, and the politeness and the dialogues are there, which is so interesting that if a person has hunger for French, and if there is an ever growing curiosity after learning a bit of French, the speaking part is encouraged directly. Directly, they can start speaking, whether they pronounce a bit wrong or right, but the translation of English is on every page throughout the book. Throughout the book, there is English translation on one side and one side French. So people don't waste time when they're academically also learning. They don't waste their time to search for the answers and then learn. So simple construction of the sentences, which don't really have to be memorized. If you remember Paris, if you remember 4 things in Paris, you'll be able to construct it like that for the exam, for the letter. And there are letter writing, informal and formal. All these are there in the book. So it's a one USB for all. For people who are interested in language seekers also, they should keep it on the shelf. A book is always has more benefit than the computer because of all the reasons which we know, and it is very handy. A book makes you memorize more easily than computer, because when you're on the computer, when you're on media, you will browse other things, you'll do you'll do YouTube, you'll do WhatsApp, you'll do Instagram, yeah, and all those things will come in the way. Whereas if you're sitting quietly with a book, then you will be able to just absorb automatically.
So,
That is
one may not have to buy many books. One will find
yes.
only solution here.
Yes, especially 10th and above. So like 8th, 9th is also included, 10th and above classes. Now, the smaller classes have got books in the market for small essays, 5 sentences, and the teachers give them 5 sentences on Diwali. But nobody knew where to find. Even that there are topics like my dream, what is my dream, then traveling in train, boat, railway, traveling, metro station, all the things which are when you travel really also. So that visualization gives you about the other country and encourages you to be confident when you travel, as well as academically. Of course, all the festivals, culture, everything of the civilization is all described in the book, which should be this as compared with Indian, like an Indian marriage festival and their weather and seasons with Indian all together are simultaneously done like that. So then they don't have to search all over the place. And for facts, authentic facts, people search all the time the computer, but they may get some facts which are not authentic. And when they present it in the exam, for no reason the marks are lost, because they didn't know that this was wrong a bit. And when you write wrong, more marks are cut than writing one single sentence which is correct and simply constructed. So then emphasis is on simple grammar, which they can remember it easily. And while they write an essay in the beginning, they write with 1 tense. Suppose they write it, reproduce all together on their own. They start with 1 tense, maybe a past tense, and then they go on to present tense, and they end up with future tense. But that is not giving them marks. So here is the whole thing in front of them in one particular tense. Then they get an idea how to construct all the things like that. In one particular tense, they go about it. They get used to doing that job then.
See, I recall, when I was learning Spanish, and later when I was learning teaching methodology, I was told that, even in teaching methodology,
Yes.
it is part of the research as well, because it is purely based on research. And that says that in order to, encourage students, it is always good to judge them not on the basis of what they don't know, but on the basis of what they know. So if you do that, what happens? People feel encouraged, they get good marks, and that keeps them motivated. Uh, on the other hand, if we ask them difficult questions, they feel depressed because they know that they are not going to get good marks, and that fulfillment does not come to them. So before we enter into creating a difficult zone for them, it's always good to create a comfortable zone so that they have a sense of fulfillment.
Exactly.
And suddenly we cannot expect miracle to happen, especially
Yes.
among children. So what is your take on that, Alpana ji, as a teacher?
Exactly. So that therefore now there is now always a choice in schools whether to take Hindi or French. Many students are feeling that they are getting almost nearly full marks in Hindi, but that is because they have had that particular talent or their ability to memorize that. But if you talk about that, I will take French, okay, later on in college, and I will cope up by doing outside classes. So the difference is that you should take the French from the school time, as you should take it. It is very scoring, and this unseen portion which they are doubtful. Otherwise, everything you can score very well, full marks, grammar by solving exercise. But if this unseen portion is there, which I have endeavored, a little grain of water, little grain of sand makes the mighty ocean and the pleasant land, like Julia Carney says. So with this little endeavor of mine, I feel that the unseen portion and also get maximized marks totally. So French should be taken from younger age if they are going to take it in college, and then they will get more and more scores in their proper, in their career, for the career. They will be confident at that time.
Great.
I mean,
So
there are 100 students in arts, commerce, and science. When you go to college, all of them are taking French. So I was teaching that time in the arts, commerce, and French, commerce and science, and there was more than 100 in commerce side. The others were at least 100. So with so much students taking French, you will not understand that suddenly in college they come for making fun, and then they don't do their day-to-day homework. So then they can't score. And I can easily pick out the 10, 15 students who can attend every day. They will get good marks. So if you're looking for career, then you must develop it from your lower classes only. Take French. If you're taking French ahead, then take it from before. If you're taking Hindi, take Hindi from before, like that.
So, you just mentioned about 100 people in one classroom. It must be difficult, no? I recall I used to have similar kind of situation. 90 students, all grown-up people. Somebody used to be, of 60 years, 58 years, senior managers, directors, IAS officers, IPS officers sitting in taking class, and then helping them meet their aspirations and also satisfy their egos, because grown-up people who are little successful in their lives, if they start getting failures, they panic, they fear that they will fail, and because of that they don't take risk of learning foreign languages. How you handle that?
Yes. So they, especially during the oral examinations, there used to be children who have to speak 5 words, like 5 fruits in French, and they will speak 5 fruits in English. So that was taking, and the rest of them, the whole mob of 100 students making noise. And then so there was one thing which that these are the good students, and I will tell to them that you will get first and all, you will come out the first rank holder in college. But that would become true for them, because I could then spot out what. So there only I used to feel that 2 things, that you make smaller batches in the college. I will teach over there smaller batches all throughout the day. I'll take them. And secondly, online as well as offline over there, and then each one has to solve exercises online day to day. They have to concentrate on their own thing and get their marks there and then from that short exercises. Then the next day again, and offline also give them something. So if they are disciplined in this manner, then the big crowds can be disciplined. Otherwise, it's not going to help them. Yeah, they
Right.
just learn
So
from outside classes. Yeah, then
I understand. So I mean, the crowd of students who are enlightened lot, they may not misbehave, or but
yeah,
if there is a crowd, we call it uh, 10th, 11th, 12th, and then first year BA students or second year student, they are not mature
yes,
enough. They have high level of
yes,
energy. It needs to be diverted. I'm aware of some people who take people to different parts of the world for traveling and all, and even people from outside come to India to understand the industry, learn language, culture, spiritualism, and whatnot. But Alpana ji, I want to ask you one more very specific question, and that
yes,
is, give two examples. One example is of students who were highly motivated and people who were totally less motivated. They, and because of that, the whole energy level of the classroom goes down. Have you come across any such situation, a difficult situation of that kind? How you
yes,
handle it?
yes, definitely. Yes, yes. So, as you said, the first year FYJC, SYJC, the basic French. So, when you're teaching about the train, the name of the train, TGV. So, I turn so the people who have already learned from home and come, they are more enlightened. So, they will tell me the whole thing from advance, that what does TGV stand for. And when I turn myself round to write on the board TGV, there will be those students who will start speaking something else, that TGV stands for something else, some fun musty thing that they are talking about, especially, and they come to us at that young age. They come as couples, girl and boy sit together. They want to speak those French words which sound like English, and make a fun entire time. Like if you want to ask their name also, they will try to make some fun. So that was all which is always going on, always in the French classes. Then there are combined lectures. They say in a week there should be one combined lecture of arts, commerce, science. But all this thing doesn't work out. We have to make small batches. We have to give them online studies where they will be given marks. Like each one should represent themselves as a teacher of the other. In some fashion, they must help each other, because one teacher teaching and the others are laughing. Otherwise, this whole crowd of 100 students is not possible. Especially the given infrastructure, there is no mic in the colleges. Most of them, there's no mic given. There's no platform properly where they sit on a seat. So therefore, this all goes haywire. So that happens with almost every newcomer in college, because I've taught in colleges, in law colleges I've taught. But there are all levels of all age groups of people, even your age group and then my age group, and then the new people, and everybody comes to learn law. But fortunately in law, because we're speaking in English, they all sit and listen with one ear. They don't go haywire. So as
Yeah.
long as you're talking, as long as you keep talking, they keep listening, like that. Yeah,
Yes, even in Indian law, we have derived lots of things from French law. Especially
yeah, yeah.
the
Yes,
directive principles.
caveat emptor and all. Yeah,
Right.
yeah, yeah.
So that is great, Alpana. Now moving on to, let me check if our friends have some questions. We can address them. Otherwise, I will switch over to another area of your life, and that is social
Yes,
work and all. So, my friends, if you have any questions from Alpana ji, who is a good writer, speaker so far, she has explained well about teaching methodology, problems that we face as a teacher, learning languages, techniques, of hybrid technique, I will say, communicative and grammar approach, as well as repetitive drills. We also did some thought process on how to keep students motivated, how to help them get a sense of fulfillment that increases more, how to get good grades, how to keep motivated people, etc., etc. If you have any questions on this, my friends, please write here in the chat box. We will be able to help you out with some answers. There are some comments coming in that Zoom meeting is better. Zoom meeting is certainly better, but only when there are a variety of people available there for talks. When there is predefined talk and it is always declared that there will be talk between two persons, Zoom meeting is not necessary. It is my belief. But when certainly there we allow interventions to come directly, it will be great to have such kind of meetings as well as talks as well, when everybody is free to talk. But that will also be taken care of in future. But currently, let's follow this method because it helps, in streamlining talks, and disturbances and unwanted interruption does not happen. If you have any questions, please write. We will come back. Otherwise, I'm moving on to a next part of our session, and which is the final one, and that is Alpana ji is also, a social worker. She has been teaching art and craft also, and as you know, of course, she has participated in a beauty pageant. That means she is a model as well. And she's herself explained that she's a lawyer. But most important, she's a teacher,
Yes.
and being a teacher, uh, especially in creativity, language, culture, creativity, it doesn't sound very good, when you listen that somebody is a teacher. Because in India, although in the past gurus were very powerful, respectful, but nowadays gurus are considered simple people. But the reality is they still add great value to our lives, especially when we are talking about creativity. Because just imagine, everything is being done by machines now. AI has taken over. Now we are having driverless buses, we are having driverless trucks, we are having driverless, trains. We will have, no maids in our house, no teachers, of course, very few teachers. Machine will do everything. At that phase of time, what will humans do? Just imagine. So experts, say that it is the creativity that will matter. So people who are physicists, people who are acclaimed scientists, they go and take solace where? In music, in creativity, in arts, passion,
Yes.
poetry. These are something which AI will not take over, and human passion will be there always. We need to just adapt to those things, and that adaptability in and change that is taking place currently globally, I believe this creativity is the most important aspect of human life. And that's how the importance comes in of our teachers, and gurus, who always keep us motivated and who always help us to be creative in our lives. So we cannot ignore that. So thinking that, Alpana ji, now as you as a creative person, you can create revolution, because you bring, changes in the thought process of the students by teaching them how to be creative. So how you handle that? Because I learned that you are also into art and craft and etc.
Yes, yes. To begin with, a mother is a teacher, but a teacher is a second mother. And with just like all the automobiles and all will run without drivers, but at some point there will be some point where they are controlled. So that cannot be eliminated, and that part is where the teacher comes out. And also the creativity, of course, is it helps people to avoid all their stress and all. But I also say that I approach everything as a mother, because I am a mother of a son, and I approach all my students as a mother, and that is the creative way I think about at all age groups, whether it's arts and crafts student or French student or law students in colleges. My approach is of a mother, as a mother teacher, So that happens to me, that I get my way around. I find out what exactly will make the student be feel fun and funny also, and then go on like that. And for arts and craft also, like, yeah, I've been teaching in NGOs, and so that I believe that at some space, if you give to the social, there's something which you have given to the universe, to the society. Of course, it will come back to you in a big form. Some blessings will always be with you when you help them. So like Kinnari Association, Kinnari Cultural Center was there, where they would give the fees to the uh, those classes who cannot afford their school and hospital fees. So all the art and craft teachers and all the other activities which were running, so they would all give the contribution to such people we would see in front of us, as well as we would take classes for those who can't pay the fees also. So that was all real fun through the years. Like almost, even I've taught for 20 years for arts and crafts and all age groups. 5 years to adults. For adults, I would teach vegetable craft and fruit carving of fruits and vegetables, and parchment craft from Netherlands, which is needle craft on the paper lacing. It's called, become the paper is carved like a lace with tools and all from Netherlands, like that.
Great. So,
Yeah.
I recall on this art and craft thing, when it has come, it is very sad that today, in fact, yesterday, my art and craft teacher who has taught me in my school, military school, Sainik School, Tilea, where I have studied, he is no more. But
I'm sorry.
in a military
Yeah.
school, when such thing was done, we used to have little bit of fun in his class. We were naughty, and we used to be beaten as well at times, given punishments. And at that time we didn't realize why in a military school we had to undergo a training in arts and craft, especially especially with a tough teacher. uh, and but we the things that we learned at that phase of time in his classroom was very useful, because we learned how to uh, use cane for making chairs, how to do grafting of those canes, for also making use of carpentry. Uh, at that phase of time, we were just doing it for the sake of doing, and of course for doing naughty activities in his classroom and getting punished for that. But later on I realized that it was certainly very important, because uh, slowly they have added some dimension in our life. Because once when I was at my place, and suddenly we had a cane chairs, and brought from northeast, for somewhere my father has brought in, and it needed some repair. So during my summer vacation, I did that repair myself, and that gave a sense of fulfillment, at that phase of time. And then I realized the importance of small thing that happen in life, and it shapes your world. You may not realize it, but small things can become a bigger thing, someday in some point of life. So that is
Exactly.
great. That is great. As a teacher, perhaps you should have fulfillment that way. So my friends,
And gifting for Diwali and all for birthdays. Everybody will look forward to that handcrafted gift, and they'll say, "Oh, now I don't have to, also I don't have to purchase for that, so because I make that." And
right,
yes, of
and
course,
even when you make rangoli, in Diwali,
yeah, rangolis and all.
or even
Yeah,
when you make garland of
with
flowers,
students.
that is all
Yeah,
part of life.
yeah,
You
that is
spend
there.
little time. Uh,
And the craft is freelancing, which I do. I don't do school craft like paperwork and all. So it's an expression of all techniques and all media, all the different medias which you can get hold of, so that children feel that. And it's called I am an artist. So the children come to the class, they say I am an artist. There's nothing wrong, which is an art and craft. They are already an artist, like that.
Right. So,
Nothing
I mean,
wrong.
so
Yeah.
it's a field in which we even do now recycling of variety of things, plastic
Yes.
bottles, waste,
Yes. Yes.
they are
We do that.
all,
Yeah.
I mean, and that's from where you never
Waste
know,
to waste to
a
waste.
new
Waste to waste.
innovation
Yeah.
can come, takes place, while doing all
Yeah.
this.
Yeah.
Suddenly you will find,
Suddenly you get.
a company, currently I just learned a few days back that there is a company that is making uh,
Pens.
no, I will say clothes from pulp of banana,
Acha, acha.
you know, and that could have happened only when he could have tried something creative,
Yes.
and then now it has become a big industry for him.
Yeah,
Similarly,
wow.
recycling, of variety of waste products, paper. People recently, I came across, in
Old jeans,
one
old
visiting
jeans.
card. Yeah, one
Yeah.
visiting card which was made of natural things, and the person who gave me, he told me that if you want to have a tulsi plant in your house, use this visiting card. Just put it in the mud and soil, and after some time, a sapling will come up, because it has, that technique by which it can get dissolved in the soil and produce sapling of tulsi. These
Sounds
are
good.
all
Yeah.
creative
Yeah.
things
Yeah.
that comes into picture. Although, I mean, we don't as a as a translator or language professional, uh, divert ourselves in that area often, but I believe it
Yeah.
is equally good to involve his children, and if they become good in one thing,
Yes.
they start becoming good in other things as well.
Talented. Yeah. Then they can
Yeah,
show
so
the talent.
a tendency develops, for them to
Yeah.
perform well in life.
Correct. Correct.
So that's great. So any friends who wanted to intervene through chat, it will be great. From next time, we will try and invite some people more for making interventions, not so that more participation can take place directly. Of course, chat
Yes.
will be there, and I must give you a very, very, great thanks to you, Madam Alpana Shroff, for being with us today. I just hope that we will have more such talks in future, and I wish you a great luck for your life as well as for the book, which
Thank
is
you so much.
now available on WhatsApp, I
Amazon.
mean Amazon. And
Amazon.
if you want to
And as
show
well
it
as
to
with
people
me.
again,
My con.
please do show
Yeah.
that photograph, that cover page. Where is
So
that?
this
Can
is
you
the book.
show?
Yeah.
So this says
Parler le français avec de
Parler le
l'élégance.
français avec l'élégance for the boards of 10th and higher classes. And what is the cost?
518 plus delivery if I'm delivering it from my house, and Amazon also. Amazon also the same way. 518 plus delivery.
Okay, good. So it's not very costly to buy. Otherwise, I'm
There
sure
are.
I will order one for myself,
I'll send you.
because
I'll send it to you, sir.
and
So there are
uh,
300 and
I just hope that my friends who are here, if they like, they can directly get in touch with Madame and or Amazon. Thanks for your time, my friends,
336.
and I'm just
Thank you.
putting keep and I would also like to extend my sincere thanks to all our friends who are watching us with us on YouTube channel, and request you all to please subscribe the channel if you have not yet subscribed, and keep promoting our activities. And because the idea is to create a platform where we have a centralized activity for all kind of language activities, including Hindi, English, French, German, teaching, translation. There are certain lectures available on translation, project management, or new dimensions, or etc on our channel. My friends, I would like to invite you all to explore the channel and be with us. And thanks again for joining. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Ravi, sir. And thank you, Modlingua Languages. And thank you, all our friends. Thank you for having me here today. I enjoyed the session, sir. Thank you.